Hey everybody, welcome. I'm Romi Hill, and this is live going over the fourth clue of my 2024 Mystery Shawl, Way Leads On to Way. So it's lovely to see you all in the chat today. Welcome, welcome. It's so nice. I look forward to this every week, seeing everybody chatting away and asking questions. Um, so let's see. What have we got today? So I'm going to go over the clue, obviously, and then I also have a fix that I want to show you. Somebody asked me how to fix a dropped yarn over when when like you're knitting along and you drop it on the wrong side. So instead of just like picking it up, I'm sorry, knitting along and you drop it on the right side instead of just picking it up on the wrong side. So I'm going to show you that. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the clue and talk a little bit about what's coming up next week so you can sort of be ready to get your clue and block. So lovely to see everybody. Yay. Okay, so please feel free to ask questions. I will be watching the chat, and so there may be a little bit of a delay because usually around this time in my area, apparently, I don't know what happens. Maybe people are gaming or something like that, but I don't know. So so maybe I should do these earlier next year. I don't know. Anyway, so let's take a little bit of a look at the clue and I will show you my fix. And please feel free to ask questions. I'll be watching. There's a little delay. So when you ask me a question, it takes a little while for me to see it and then get back to you. And if my service kind of dips a little bit, then my software will start buffering more. So it can take a little bit of extra time. So let's switch over here. Transition, yay. Thank you, Holly. They're my springy glasses, so I decided today was a good day for springy stuff. Alrighty. Okay, so same stuff up at the top here. So I have that information every week. And then here, so this clue is worked completely in C2, but there is going to be some more C1, color one, in the fifth and final clue. So this whole thing here, this is all color two. And if you're still unsure about whether or not you like your combination or you just don't like to cut things until the last, I actually always do a loop on the side. So that's what this little bit right here is all about. So if you want, you don't have to cut your yarn. You can go and just make a little loop and don't cut your C1 for this clue. But I know that some people do like to cut yarn, and that's no problem also. So whichever way you prefer to do it. So thank you very, very much for the kind words about my glasses. I really appreciate it. So I'm sorry, Marianne. This is just about the mystery, so I'm not answering questions about other shawls. Please just ask me or ask in the Ravelry forum. So I'm just going to be going over the mystery today. Okay, so we have two charts. Chart F and chart G. They're both just worked one time apiece. And here we have up here, pretty much everything is the same, but we do have one more little stitch right here, an SSSK. So that one is in there today too. So, and Brittany asked if Clue 5 is a good place to use a third color. Yes, absolutely. So if you run out of your color one, you will be completely fine with using the third color for clue 5. So the way that it's written, you can use it. It will look really nice, and you can use as much as you like. Yeah, so that will be fine. So here is my SSSK. Same thing basically as an SSK, but you are decreasing 2 stitches. So when you get to that, it's not a typo, I promise. Okay, so both of these charts have nothing exciting going on the wrong side rows. So I did not put in the wrong side rows into the charts here. This is the wrong side row you're going to use for each of the wrong sides in both of these charts. So it's just knit 2 through the back loop and then purl across to the last 2. These are shown as so that you knit as you see it. So this is just a representation of the actual stitch. So it's knit 1 through the back loop 2 times, purl across to the last 2 stitches, knit 1 through the back loop 2 times. And that is going to be the case on all of the wrong side rows in this clue. So hereabouts, we're continuing with that smaller repeat. So this is a repeat of 8 stitches. And at the bottom here, you're going to work this little area 46 times. And then because it increases so much on the sides here, we are going to pull in another repeat on either side into the center here, and that will be worked 48 times. So I did see a comment about someone was saying that 4 increases per side is a lot of increases, but I did want to mention that this is actually exactly how you would increase a triangle shawl. It's just that the increases are all at the edge instead of at the edge, middle edge. So it's really not increasing a lot more than any other shawl would. And in fact, a shallow triangle would increase more. You would have 2 at either edge and then 2 in the middle, so for 6. So this is actually not as many increases as you use, for instance, for Falderal, which is the last year's mystery. And that one is over here over my right shoulder. So, and I did use some increases in the middle of motifs throughout this so that it could take a little bit of the pull and stretch off of the stitches in the middle and kind of ease the shape out better. So just a little background there. Okay, so here we are. We have all of these. These are all the SK2Ps up at the top here. And I'm just calling that out because when we get down into this chart, so chart G, it goes into that wider repeat again. So this is 16, it's exactly double the repeat up here. So if you added markers again up here, you will just be taking out every other marker as you work across. So this over here, these double decreases, the SK2Ps, those line up with the double decreases in the earlier clues. So what I mean is, if you were to take a look at clue 3 over here and you see these double decreases along the side of your repeat section, this chart, chart G, lines up here. So you're going to see, basically you're going to be removing the markers that you put in if you did use markers. So you're not going to have to move them around or anything like that. Okay, so I just want to call your attention over here. So I've been using the SK2P. An interesting thing about that, even though it kind of looks like it's a left-leaning decrease, It really reads more like a centered decrease when you're working in knitted fabric. So if I were to use an SK2P over right here, I think it looks a little bit jaggy. So this instead is an SSSK. And I'll show you how to do that, and we'll kind of take a look at how those two look. So it's really knitter's choice. So if you really would rather use an SK2P there and you like the way that looks, that is totally fine with me. I mean, completely fine. So, and you do see these two S2KPs in the middle here, and they're centered. So this is coming to kind of coming to the point right here. And so that is why along in this side right here, this is going to be a straight line across here, moving left. And then, oh, so Janice asked if I could demonstrate the best way to tank a CDD. Absolutely. That one is, it's a tough one. I would be happy to. Okay, so nothing new, all that new over here. Um, this just continues with the same increase scheme on the sides, and you're building off of the smaller motif here that you established in the past two charts. And then it's going to come back, and these two are going to be different. So this over here, that's going to be a slightly different motif from what happens right if in this area here. And you'll see I I really like it. So I hope you do too. Okay, let's see. So Sue asked if we should give a little extra tug on the SSSK. Sure. Yeah, every time you have a left-leaning decrease, you have the possibility of it being kind of messy. So yeah, I mean, I'll show you what it looks like, and see what you think. I didn't use the other thing I can show you how to do is like an SK, let's see, SK2 through the back loop, SK2P through the back loop, something like that. I will show you how to do that too, and that actually you might like that better. So let me grab my needles here. So I am going to show you first. I had a question about how to fix a yarn over if you drop it on the right side if you're going along. Like if I just were to drop this yarn over. So what to do about that? So this is a really common thing to happen, especially when you are kind of tinking back or you've ripped back a little bit, which I do quite a bit of. So since I do quite a bit of it, I have lots of experience um, fixing my little yarn over problems here. So let's take a look at the construction. We want it to look like this over here. So see those two nice little twists here. Those are both yarn overs on the right side, and then they've been worked on into on the wrong side. So that's what we want it to look like over here. And it's a little bit confusing, can be confusing because over on this side, it looks like there's a little bit of a hole here, but over on this side, everything looks kind of twisted up and it's hard to tell where everything is coming from. So what I do when I drop a yarn over like this is I find the twist on the bottom there from my previous yarn over. So actually and I have to say the best thing about dropping a yarn over is that it's not going to ladder down. So you pretty much, like if you have dropped one, it's going to stop and wait for you to get it, which is kind of nice. Okay, so you don't want to take this top bar here because this is from when you worked across your wrong side. And you do not want to use this because, so first of all, if I were to take that kind of out of the equation, that really doesn't look like my others. And this is kind of how I taught myself how to fix these things. Um, just kind of comparing it to how everything around it looks. So I don't want to yarn over from the previous row because I'm not doing yarn overs on the wrong side. So I'm going to go down here and I want to pull this away. So if I pull this away, I can see now that nice twist, and I want that twist to be there like this. So the twist has a hole on either side of it, and it looks neat and tidy. So here is that's my second bar down. So on this side you can see that it's in line, and if you give it a little tug, you can see what stitch it comes from. And I suggest doing that if you have any problems figuring out where you are, just kind of give a tug on the bar to make sure that it's going to the correct stitch. And always remember that when you have yarn overs, sometimes things are going to look a little twisted up at the edges, but it's okay. That is completely normal. So I'm going to use this as my yarn over, which means I'm going to go underneath with my needle here because that's what I want the yarn over to be. And then I'm going to grab that top bar of yarn and make a stitch with that and pull it through that yarn over. And that is what I will end up with right there. So, and I can check myself. I can kind of take a look at the other side here and make sure that it looks the same. A lot of this is really visual. If you like the way that something looks, then that's that's great. That's right. If you like it, then it's all good. Okay, so let's go over here. I am going to do a CDD, a centered double decrease, so we can take a little bit of a look about how to take them out. So centered double decrease, you want that center stitch to be on top. So I've just slipped two stitches together, knit one, and now I have passed those two stitches over. Okay, so here is what I do when I am tinking. So the yarn over is not a big deal. Um, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to come through the back here and get my needle through all of the stitches and pull the yarn out. So I have all the stitches on my needle, but they're not in the right order now. So these two stitches have to be reordered. So I'm going to come from the back here and slip them both purlwise. So I have these two with my right leg in front and my left leg in back. And then that third one is still has the right leg in back. So if you want to reorder that, you can. You don't have to. But just to make all of the stitches be perfectly in with right leg in front and left leg in back. And that is my CDD tinked. So that's what I do whenever all the multiple millions of times that I tink them. That's how I do it. Okay, so let's do the SSSK. So I'm just going to kind of compare these. So here's my SK2P first. This is SK2P, so it's slip one as if to knit, and then knit two together, and then pass that slipped stitch over. So you see you have the right stitch coming over the top, but the way that this is engineered, it's very centered. So it's very much centered over that middle stitch there. So if I actually want a slant to it going to the left, I'm going to slip, 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 and put all of these back onto my left needle and then knit them together here. So when you take this within the fabric, this creates a better left-leaning line than an SK2P does. Harder to see here. When you start seeing it in a line of stitches, it's easier to see. So the other possibility, and this may lie better for some of you, is to slip one as if to knit and then knit two together through the back loop and then pass that slipped stitch over. And this may give you a cleaner left leaning double decrease. So those are your options. Um, so this one was SK2P. This one is SSSK. This one is SK2TBLP, I guess you would call it, um, where you do, it's basically an SK2P, but instead of knitting two stitches together, you're knitting them through the back loop together. And that in itself is also left leaning. So you have a much more definite left leaning stitch there. So those are your options. I'm just going to work a couple stitches on the back side and hopefully you can get a better idea of how much they lean. So let's see, get through here. Okay. So you can see this one looks very centered to me. This one looks a little less centered to me. And this one, I think, has an even more definite left slant to it. So your choice, always knitter's choice. So let's see. I am going to show you what these look like in line here. So if I were going to continue a line to the left, and then my knitting style, this is how it works for me. It may not work for you this way. So definitely, um, definitely see what you think. And remember that these are going to block out. So even if it looks a little bit wonky right now, once you block it out, it will look better. So especially if you're using any alpaca yarn, I don't know why alpaca is so much like this, but it looks particularly awful before you block it. So let's just go back so you can see this more. Alrighty. Okay. So that is what you have. So sometimes, by the way, when this happens, if I'm really feeling really picky and annoyed about this, I'll just go back over my stitches and kind of even them out like this. Um, if I hate looking at it. So you can do that. You can also give it more of a thwack when you block it. So there you go. That is what it looks like. So you can kind of see where this looks like it's more centered. And this is the one this is the option I used over here on the SSSK. Once in a while I use the the SK2P with two knit through the back loop. But usually when I use this, I use it on a solid material. So yeah, there's your choices all lined up for you. Okay, so Janice asked about a video that covers various ways for an SSK. I believe I do have one. um, in my teeny tiny tutorials. I'm pretty sure I do. So I've now lost track of all the different ones I have, but I think it is in there. And if it isn't, and you would like me to make one and talk about that, I'd be happy to. So, and if I have some extra time this evening, I will just show you some different SSKs. Okay, so I do want to talk a little bit about blocking because if you don't have blocking wires and you want to order some, it may take a little while to get them. So I want everybody to be ready. So this is what I used on my final shawl. These are flexible blocking wires. They don't have to be super thick, you just have to pin them more places. So these are memory wire. So they're very springy. And these are actually, I got the thinner ones because when when I do like a scalloped edge or something like that, like I have some shawls where I've used along the edging, there's a feather and fan that kind of goes in and out. Um, I'm not I'm not saying that that's what this is. I'm just saying that you can also really curve these. So if you're blocking something that's super curvy, these are kind of fun because you can weave them in and out of any type of bind off or side that needs to be wavy, and it will go along with the waves. So, and then it'll snap right back. So I really love my flexible blocking wires, and they don't have to be as thick as you would have. I'm just gonna go back over here. So these don't have to be as thick as straight blocking wires because you're going to end up um, pinning them more than you would the straight ones, and you're also probably going to end up um, I mean, using them to curve. So these are these are great. So as and you can see, like they're super springy, like really springy. So a lot of fun. Um, and you do have to coil them up to store them because they will fly apart. But they're so worth it, especially if you do any type of shawl. If you do anything with a curved edge to it like this. So for a triangle shawl or any type of straight edges or something like that, it's not that big a deal. It's super easy just to use the straight ones, but for a curved shawl like a shawl, a circle or a half circle or crescent like this, um, these are so good. So the people that I purchased these from are sadly out of business, but I did I looked around, I did a quick perusal of places. There's some on Etsy, and then also Amazon has them. So I liked the ones on Amazon were stainless steel, which I really liked because they keep from rusting, obviously. So they got really good reviews, and it's there is a little bit. It was like a week turnaround for shipping or something, so that's why I wanted to talk about it today, just in case. And then so if you just go to Amazon and you search flexible blocking wires for knitting, you'll pop up with a few options, and there's one that clearly has better reviews than the others. So and then let's talk a little bit about T-pins. So I'll just go back here. So I have like the most giant collection of T-pins ever in the world, probably. I don't know. I have a lot of them. So here's just a little sampling. And if you're using the verb kit, so the verb kit is natural dyed yarn. So you want to make sure that you test all of your blocking materials out before you use it on your finished shawl. So you want to see, you want to get the yarn wet. Just take like a little, just a little piece of yarn, get it wet, wrap it around your your T-pins and your blocking wires. Just make sure that it doesn't react. So I will say more expensive T-pins are not necessarily better T-pins. So definitely just kind of do a couple of God, I'm having a brain, a completely brain going away moment here. Just do a few experiments with your T-pins beforehand, so you won't have any surprises. So let me see. I'm just going through to make sure that I didn't miss any questions. Alrighty, so I'll show you some SSKs. So if anybody else has questions, let me know. So I'm just going to rip this little bit out here so I can show you some SSKs. So here's I figured you would like to see what I do like on a daily basis here. This is how I always get my piece back on the needles. I rip to the row before I want. I rip back so I have one more row to go, and then I tink that last row back. So that's what I do in lieu of any type of lifeline. Okay, so here is the regular SSK the way it's written. So it's a slip, slip, and you're doing that so you can reposition the stitch. The stitch needs to have the right leg in back and the left leg in front, and then it goes back onto your left needle. I always just keep my needle in the back there, and the two are knit together. Let me reposition this so my right leg is in front. I'm just going to go through here and reposition, make sure all of my stitches have my right leg in front, so I can show you, because with the SSK, you need to reposition stitches. Okay, so that was one possibility. So another possibility is to slip one stitch knitwise, knit a stitch, and then pass the slip stitch over. So that's another possibility. Then there is my favorite. I'm going to show you this broken down, and then I'm going to put it together. So you're going to slip a stitch knitwise, and then place it back on your left needle, and then knit two together through the back loop. So because you repositioned that first stitch here, that stitch is not going to be twisted, but the stitch behind it is going to be twisted. So I like to do that in one go through, which is insert needle through the front loop of the first stitch and then through the back loop of the second stitch, and then work them together like that. So that's exactly the same as this one, but it's just in one step. So I usually use this when I'm working on solid fabric. In other words, when there's solid fabric on the left here, this is the one one of these two is I usually use if there's a yarn over next to it. For me, it lays better, but that does not necessarily mean it will lay better for you. So definitely experiment to see which of these you like more. Okay, and then there are people who like to knit two together through the back loop. So I used to sort of, like, it used to offend me because it twists the top stitch here, And it was just like, but it twists the top stitch. But for some people, it really, really lays much better. So this actually blends in better than an untwisted top stitch. So that may be you. And I have seen some beautiful work with all of the just knit two together through the back loop used as a left leaning decrease instead of an SSK. So you have lots of options. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, so Dana was saying that that is the way that Patty does an SSK. Yeah, I learned it from I think I learned it from Amy Dachin or something like that. It was a Meg Swanson knitting camp thing that got passed on, and that's where I found out about it. So I am going to work across the wrong side here. Um, the thing is about the SSKs is that they will look fine on the right side. And it's only after a wrong side row that you will notice that they look terrible. So I always like to do sort of a just working through to make sure um, it actually does look okay. So that's how I would test it. I mean, some of these look better than others for sure. Like you can see over here, that one is sort of a little jaggy there. That one is kind of loopy here. And these two with the twisted stitch underneath, those, for me, those look the best. So here is the knit two together through the back loop. I don't love it the way that it looks in my knitting, but you may feel differently about it. So it's really knitter's choice. There's so many ways to do everything that you will find a way that is the one that works for you. Okay, so like, let's see. Okay, so I don't think I have any more questions. Um, does anybody have any questions? Have you taken a look through the clue? Do you have any questions or anything about it? So as usually as the mystery shawl progresses, there are fewer and fewer questions because we've kind of gone through everything already. But definitely here, um, I'm just going to transition right back over to my hands and go through just really quickly one more time, just in case there's anybody here who has not seen previous lives. Okay, so don't forget, there's a Zoom get together tomorrow. And if you have not registered, you can register using this tiny URL here, or at the bottom, there's the full link there. This really doesn't go to any place nefarious or anything like that. It just goes straight to this Zoom link down here. But if you'd rather use the whole link, you can find it down here. And then that's at 1 p.m. Pacific time, Saturday, May 18th. And we just hang out. So some people also like to ask questions in person. And so if you have any questions that you want to ask in person, that it's like you missed the live, or you're just like, how do I even explain this in the comments? Feel free to come and ask then as well. But I will not have my teaching set up like with my hands. So if you have a question that I need to show you, this is the best place to do it. Okay, so, and then I have my helpful videos here. The clues worked entirely in color two. This little note here, you don't have to cut your color one if you don't want to, but you can if you want. So I have two charts here, chart F and chart G, and they are both worked only one time. So over here, you'll see the key to the chart symbols. So the two charts in this clue only show the right side. So I did not have two types of chart. I try to do this whenever I can. whenever there is no texture that I want to represent. So I try just to have the one type of chart with the right side. And again, over here in little chunks of 5 from right to left, these colors are to help with your counting. All of the abbreviations are right in this area here. And again, both of these charts show only the right sides. So you can tell by taking a look over here on the right. So all odd numbered rows are going to start on the right. All even numbered rows are going to start on the left. And notice there are no numbers on the left. So you're just going to start working from the bottom up and use this little chart here for all of the even numbered or wrong side rows. And that's just knit one through the back loop 2 times, purl across to the last 2 stitches, and then knit one through the back loop 2 times. Over here you can see I have 2 little pieces. Down here you're going to work this part 46 times. Up in this area 48 times because 2 repeats have been incorporated up here. And then we get to chart G. Chart G is back to the larger motif repeat. So this one is 16 stitches as opposed to 8 stitches. These double decreases along the side here are going to line up with previous charts double decreases where we've had in the previous clue, the CDDs. That will line up. So you're going to be removing the markers that you add. If you did add markers, you're just going to be removing every other marker and just the ones that you added for charts E and F. And then, yeah. So that is what we have here. And just going to go back here. Okay. So next week, I'm actually going to be teaching in Philadelphia. And so that means I'm going to pre-record, I'm going to stream it, and then I'm going to make it available at the usual time on Friday. And there is not going to be a Zoom a week from tomorrow. There is going to be a Zoom 2 weeks from tomorrow, though. So I'm going to put that link out so everybody can come. And if you finished your mystery, you can show off your pretties. And we can all ooh and ah over everything. And if you haven't, and if you have any extra questions or anything like that, you can just ask and everything. Yeah, it's totally cool. You don't have to immediately jump on it. So let me see. So Janice asked for those who use Knit Companion, do you keep building on your charts or make a new page for the new charts? Um, I personally make a new page for the charts. I think it's up to you though. So I don't know. Yeah. I'm not sure how everybody else does it, but I do actually just make a new page. Oh, like make a new chart. And let me see any other questions. So Sue was talking about the engineering of knitted stitches, which I think is so cool, like endlessly fascinating. The difference between the actual stitch put into use and what you see when you're looking at a chart or reading instructions. It's it's fascinating to me too. So let's see. Um, So Claire says, did anyone keep a row count for every row? Possibly. I did not. I think it would be easy to go back and just count the rows. I don't know. So yeah, I don't know how many rows there were. Um, no clue. Okay, let's see. Any other questions? Okay, I think. I think that's it. So I will definitely be in touch. We're knitting together on Ravelry and in my Facebook group. And if you have any questions or anything like that, just feel free to write. The fastest place to get an answer is definitely always the Ravelry group, because someone is always there and they're always knitting on the exact same thing that you are knitting on. So that is the fastest way. If you don't get your answer there, so they'll usually, if they don't know what it is, they'll ear burn me, and I will try to figure it out myself. So that's the best place to go. And so Claire, you asked for stitch count. There are stitch counts. So let me go back here. So there are stitch counts. So you can see at the end of the chart. So the way this works, so there's chart F is 399, and then each row is going to add 4 stitches. So this first row here, after row 1, you'll have 403 stitches. So every right side row is going to add 4 stitches. In previous clues, there are some there are some areas in here where there are increases within this in the repeat box. So that would make it a little bit different. But in this particular clue, there are no extra increases, just the ones along the side. And it's just two each side, each odd numbered row. So hopefully that will help. Okay. Alrighty. So just checking in. Okay. Um looks good. So I hope everybody's enjoying it. I'm really excited for you to see next week's clue too. So, and I'm kind of hoping that some of you might be joining me in Philadelphia next weekend. But anyway, if not, maybe another time. Oh, and actually, if I don't know if you all subscribe to my newsletter, but there is this kind of cool event called Camp Knitaway, and it's put on by Row House Yarns, and it is in September 21st and 22nd on a private island in Connecticut. So we take over the entire island with a private chef, and I am a camp counselor. And so there are 3 rooms left apparently, and the early bird pricing is going away May 31st. So if you are into that kind of thing, like a lovely little private island with a private chef, I hope you can join me, and I hope to see you there. So just check to see. All right. Yay! So I'll see Priscilla in Philadelphia. Yay! That's very cool. So let's see, anybody else? I was hoping that I get to meet you, Marianne. So bummer. Okay, maybe another time though. So thank you all for joining me, and don't be a stranger. I'll be around if you need me. We're all here knitting together, and I hope you can join me tomorrow on Zoom. So take good care, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.